What's up, YouTube? Today I wanted to talk about time management. As you can tell by the title, I have a couple of blog posts that I wrote. One is from a few months ago about time management. It was titled How to Manage It All, and that is my most read blog post. So I'll link to that. A lot of these tips are going to come from that post, but I wanted to just expand on them a little bit. And then this past weekend I wrote a blog post titled A Few Hard Truths About Time Management. So I want to cover those a little bit as well, but I'll put both those links down below if you're interested in reading them. Time management has been something that I've become, I guess, passionate about. I'm not really sure. I take a lot of pride in everything that I am able to juggle. And one thing I did want to make clear is that I do not have children. Some people commented on my blog posts, really hateful comments or just rude comments about the fact that I do not have children, and they're like, time management is a joke because of this, blah, blah, blah. But I understand children make things more difficult, but the first thing I would like to mention is, one, children are a choice. So I do what I need to prevent having children, and that is not something that I want in my life. That does not discredit the fact that I am able to manage my time very well and juggle multiple things. And the point of my post was just to share the things that I do in order to manage my time. The tips that I'm about to share with you and the ones that are in my blog posts are very practical, and they can be applied to anybody's life. There's just, everybody has a different schedule. The numbers that I'm about to give you in these examples and things like that are obviously customizable, so you're gonna adjust them to your lifestyle, and you have to work with what you have. But it doesn't discredit the fact that I'm able to juggle these things. So that's just something I wanted to mention and get out of the way. And the first thing we're gonna do is break down the week. So there's 168 hours in every week because there's 24 hours in a day. And I'm going to put up on the screen all of these numbers of how I'm calculating it. These are numbers specific to my life, and I'm also being very generous with these hours that I'm about to share with you. So I broke down my schedule according to a typical week in my life. So I sleep, of course. I put 8 hours a day, 7 times a week. And really, I probably sleep about 7 hours a night. So we're going to go with 8 though, because like I said, we're going to be generous here. So 8 by 7, 56 hours I sleep a week. Same goes for work. I work 8 hours a day at my full-time job. That's 5 times a week for a total of 40 hours. I commute about 2 hours. This is being generous. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it takes a little bit less depending on the traffic for the day. But I put 2 hours every weekday and about 30 minutes every weekend. I work about 22 miles away from my house, so I spend about 11 hours commuting a week. Getting ready and showering, things like that, 1.5 hours a day for a total of 10.5 hours a week, being very generous with that. I work out about an hour to an hour and a half, 6 times a week, so that comes to about 9 hours a week. And then I spend about an hour eating every day, so 7 hours a week. And then miscellaneous would be like walking the dogs, going grocery shopping, cooking, things like that. And I just added an extra 4 hours. So that total comes to 137.5 hours. And if we subtract that from 168 hours from the whole week, that leaves me with 30.5 hours, which is literally like another full-time job of free time that I have. And obviously every week varies, and you're gonna ask, where does spending time with family come in, or with your significant other, things like that. So you can add those hours in. Even if you were to take away an additional 15, 16 hours, I would still be left over with 15 hours to spare of free time. So again, that is like a part-time job, which is where I'm able to squeeze in YouTubing and blogging and things of that nature. So I want to share with you some tips that I use on time management. First of all, I think it's important that you break down your schedule like that, and you really need to be honest with yourself on what you're actually spending your time doing. So if you take a look at your day and you realize that you're spending, probably 2 hours or more on your phone just scrolling through social media. Maybe you watch Netflix every night for 30 minutes to an hour. Maybe you spend 8 hours watching Netflix or whatever the case may be. But you just need to be honest with the hours that you are spending actually being productive or actually doing things, and not just filling your time with those simple tasks. I also wanted to bring up excuses because I think a lot of people use time as an excuse, and I understand that some people do have their schedule packed full, but when you make excuses like I don't have time or I can't do that, whatever, then it's just you're shutting down your own success. So I just think excuses need to stop, and then if you can replace those excuses with actually taking action or doing something toward your goal, then you'll make a lot more progress and you'll start seeing results, even if it's just a few minutes in the day. So my first major tip is creating a schedule or a routine, and this is something that has helped me tremendously, especially over the last few months. So what I do, or at least what I did for a long time, is that I created a schedule of the things I wanted to get done. So my weeks are fairly predictable as far as work goes. So if you have a work schedule, then you're going to want to fill that in for the week. And then any leftover time you need to dedicate to a specific task. So for example, Monday and Tuesday I dedicate to editing videos. Wednesday I dedicate to learning something new, typically with blogging or YouTubing, something along those lines. In the past, I had Thursdays and Fridays set for like writing blog posts, things like that. Now that I'm uploading videos 2 times a week, it's more so editing on Thursdays and Fridays, and then blogging on Friday as well. Saturday I spend blogging. Sundays I dedicate to writing emails for my blog subscribers, as well as pinning images using Tailwind to do that. So I break everything down into the tasks, because what I found is before I would spend, on Monday, I would edit a little bit, I would write a little bit of a blog post, I would get on Pinterest, and then at the end of the day, I wasn't really getting anything done. It was just keeping myself busy, but I didn't get any actual results. And I found that once I started doing this, I actually was getting things done on a specific day, allowing for me to be more consistent with YouTube and blogging and just life in general. My next tip is to fill 2 needs with 1 deed. So this is kind of similar to multitasking, but you're not doing multitasking as in like you're trying to edit a video as well as, study something at the same time. So let me just give some examples. So I go to a meditation class just about every Wednesday, which allows me to meditate, so I can make time in my week for meditating. And then I also spend time with people there. So that is me socializing and engaging with people, which of course is important. Another thing that I do is my commutes are really long to work sometimes. So I'll always I can either listen to an audiobook or I listen to a podcast, some sort of video. I listen to Gary Vee constantly. So instead of just driving and listening to music, of course you can do that as well, but it allows me to get more information and get more done during that time. That's what I mean by filling 2 needs with 1 deed. So you're just kind of combining 2 things that make sense to be doing together. This can increase your productivity, or at least what you get done throughout the week. For time management, it really comes down to self-discipline. And self-discipline is like a muscle, and you really have to practice it and focus on what you actually want. Because honestly, I don't know how to teach somebody to be self-disciplined. It's really just doing it. It's following through with what you said you were going to do and just focusing on the task, just getting it over with. And the more that you practice your self-discipline, the better you get at it. And then once you start seeing progress and once you start seeing results, then you kind of want to just keep doing that thing and it becomes a habit. So self-discipline is the key to time management, because self-discipline is the key to making a habit, which technically time management is a form of a habit. So I really don't know how else to tell you to become self-disciplined, but if you say that you're gonna do something, then just do it. And that's one way to practice. Like, there's really no other secret. It's just, you have to do it. Another tip I have is if it takes less than 5 minutes, do it. And this has saved me a lot of time recently because this is something I started doing. For example, if there's dishes in the sink, if it takes less than 5 minutes, I'll just do it. If I need to make the bed, just do it. This kind of saves you in the long run from having to do a bigger task. So for example, if you left your mug and plate in the dishes, even though that would have taken a minute or two to wash, you then come back to it a couple days later and there's a whole pile of dishes, and now that's going to take you way longer than a couple of minutes to complete. Same with tidying up or just decluttering. So I found that if something is a simple task and I can just get it done real quick and not even have to think about it later, then that saves me a significant amount of time later. So these next couple things aren't exactly tips, they're just kind of things I wanted to mention in relation to time management. And these are what I included in my hard truths about time management. And the first one is that you can't do everything. In my blog post, I gave a few examples of things that I wish I could do, but it's just not feasible with my life. So on top of everything that I manage, I would like to, be able to practice yoga for an hour every day and be super flexible. I would like to go on walks and take my dogs hiking all the time, or there's all these things that I wish I could do, but I cannot because I take up my time with everything else. So really it comes down to your priorities. So for me, my priority is obviously I have to work, and then I work out, and then it comes to my side hustle. So that is what I want to do, and those are my main priorities. So I put those before anything. Time management is really about a lot of sacrifice and opportunity cost, because if you want to do something or focus on something, another part of your life is going to have to be sacrificed. So in the blog post, I talk a lot about how I sacrifice fun and entertainment, going out, things like that, because I spend a lot of my time behind my computer, just editing videos, writing blog posts, writing emails. But that is what I choose to do. So that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. It's just like how some really, really successful people who are like addicted to just working constantly, they sacrifice their health. I'm not saying to do that. I think that's a bad way to do it. But if something in your life is going really well in one area, it's likely that another area is suffering. Like maybe you're not spending time with your family as much, maybe not with your friends or significant other, whatever, because you're so focused on growing your business. So you really can't balance life. That's impossible. It's about a counterbalance. You can counterbalance a few things, but there's always going to be an area that is slacking, especially if you're trying to build something or make your life different than it is now. Like that process is just going to be a lot of counterbalance and not much balance at all. Another thing is that small progress is still progress, and you can also make progress in less time. So in my schedule, I shared that I work out about an hour to an hour and a half, 6 times a week. That is me. The way that I want my body to look, the strength that I want, is how I have to train. So not everybody has the same physique goals that I have. So if that's not you, then you can spend 30 minutes a day at the gym and that's it. You can spend 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes 3 times a week, and that's it. Or like 15 minutes 5 times a week. You don't need to dedicate an hour or an hour and a half to these things. If you can dedicate a little bit of time to something that you want to get better at, then you're going to make progress, because tiny steps are still steps. And I like to use the metaphor of if you're standing at the bottom of a mountain and you need to get to the top, when you're looking up to the top, it looks intimidating, it looks far away, it looks impossible. But if you just look at the next step and the next step and the next step, you're eventually going to get to the top or see progress or see results. So it's just like that for everything that we do in life. Your health, your success, your relationships, whatever. If you can only spare a few minutes a day, then use that few minutes to make progress in something. And I am going to make a separate post about side hustles, but if you go to my blog of The Hard Truths About Time Management, I break down an example of if you want to make a side hustle out of Instagram and how you can spend as little as 10 minutes a day and eventually grow a business. Basically what I'm saying is that if you went through your weekly breakdown and you don't have the 30 hours that I have left over, what if you only have, less than 10, less than 5? That's fine. You can still make progress in your life by spending a few minutes a day on something that you really want to do. And the last thing I want to share is just you have to be self-aware. And this is something that Gary Vee preaches a lot about. And like I said, I'm an avid listener of Gary Vee, so I highly recommend him if you are looking for motivation or, similar topics to this, because he talks about self-awareness in a sense that you need to know what you want out of life, because if you're okay with going to work and, spending a little bit of time working out and whatever your schedule is now, if you are happy with that, then be happy with that. Just because you see somebody else being really productive or being really fit, whatever, that may not be you. That may not be what you want, and you're never going to get that because you don't want it. If you truly don't want that, then don't work towards it. So for me, I enjoy these things. I choose to sacrifice going out or hanging out with friends, whatever, because I prefer to YouTube and blog. Like, I find that fun, but not everybody else sees it that way. I don't watch TV. I don't do a lot of things that other people do because they may be happy doing that, and that is fine. So you just have to be aware of what you actually want and don't chase goals that other people have. If you can be happy and healthy and where you want to be, then be okay with that. But if you want to make progress in something, just know that you can, even if you have a couple minutes a day. So that's really all I have to say. I suggest reading the blog post because I'm a better writer than I am a speaker. It's hard to get everything that I want to say about time management into a video that is short enough. But if you read the blog posts, they're both 1,500, 2,000 words, and I think it makes a lot more sense if you actually go and read them. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions or suggestions, anything like that, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.